Now let's try and understand as scientifically, as objectively as possible, where does time come from? Because if that is the source of stress, you got to go to the source. Where does time even come from? Why do we even need it? Once we understand what time is, then we'll know what stress is, and then we can deal with it. Now, the way to look at it is, there is the world we live in, world of senses, experiences, which is basically our three-dimensional world. We can go front and back, left and right, up and down. That's it, 3 dimensions. No matter what we do, this is where we are stuck. Right? Now, where is time here? Time doesn't exist in these 3 dimensions. We won't be able to find it, because what we find in our 3-dimensional world is simply space. And depending on how far you have to go, what all you have to do, time emerges as this invisible entity. Now, where is it emerging from? It is not popping out of left or right, up or down. It's coming from a place we cannot see. So that's the first thing to understand, that there is a place we cannot see. The basic acknowledgement. There is a place beyond our 3 dimensions. We simply call it inside. So inside is not a concept, is not an idea, is not a philosophy. And it's not inside the body. Because when you cut the body, when you look inside, you're not looking inside, you're still looking at the outside. You've exposed more surfaces. Let's say there's an apple, you want to see the inside of an apple. You cannot. You cut the apple, you are seeing the outside of 2 apples. That's what we've been doing. We've been cutting things up in the hopes of seeing what's happening on the inside. We want to know the mechanism of life, which we know is hidden from us. So we've been digging and digging and digging, going to the smallest levels, to the atom, and then going further. We can keep on going. There is no end to it, because that is not how you go inside. That is how you stay on the outside. That is how you remain stupid. Where you insist that I can know my mind, my body, the world by breaking it down, without realizing that inside is an altogether different space. So for a moment you can assume that just like I can move in the world spatially, I can move inside and out spatially. Which means when I turn inward, I'm not going inside my brain. I'm not going inside my physical body. I am entering an inner dimension, a new dimension, a higher dimension. That is where I can get rid of stress, because once I get inside this dimension, I have space. If I have space to move, then how can I be stressed? Because with more space, you have more time. This internal movement gives you access to a totally new space, which removes the limitation of time completely. Because time can only exist as something that binds our movement in the 3-dimensional world. If you add an additional extension, additional dimension to this 3-dimensional world, you remove time. You turn it into space. This is what Buddhas do. This is what enlightened beings do. They don't live in the 3-dimensional world. They have an additional dimension. That is why they are least stressed. There is no concept of stress. Why isn't Buddha stressed about his teaching? Well, he also has a purpose. He also wants to transform as many lives as possible. The desire is there. While he said desire is the root cause of all suffering, there is no life without desire. Desire will always be there. And he had the desire to teach. The first thing he did after his enlightenment is come and meet those few people who were around him to tell them that I have found something I want to teach you. It is a desire. But why is there no stress? Because he has found a space where he can exist outside of time. On the inside, there is no concept of time. Time is emerging from there, but its impact is only in our three-dimensional world. It is only in the movements on the outside, time is necessary. On the inside, time is not necessary at all. You can talk about the dream for hours. It just feels like I was only dreaming for like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, but there's so much content. And once you enter inside, you will see past and future are simply extensions of the present. It is the present that creates the past and the future. There is no past and the future in actuality. An emotion in the now, to explain that emotion, creates the past to justify that emotion. We don't even realize this. When we are in pain, it is that pain that is recreating the past. When we are in pleasure, it is that pleasure that is recreating the past. Past doesn't exist as an objective entity sitting there. How can it be? Because every time you think about the past, you are only recreating it. You're not taking a camera and going actually into the past and seeing what happened. You are using the idea of the past, information that you have gathered from here and there. Oh, people lived like this, wars were fought like this. Your mind has a certain idea of it. Maybe you would have looked at a few photographs, a few videos. That's it. Our idea of past is so flimsy, so non-concrete, and yet it is very real for us. We are a part of this past. We belong to this movement. It is very real. But it is only because it is helping you to connect with yourself in some way in the now. It is your desire to know yourself. It is your desire to understand yourself that is recreating the past. Because you are such a transcendental phenomenon, you are such a non-physical phenomenon that the entire humanity that is existing now, that has existed in the past, everything will fall under your blanket of consciousness. So to know who you are, you go back in time. You track your lineage, you track your journey, but you are doing it. In a way, you are creating your past lineage. This is the hardest thing to understand. Of course, from the point of view of your parents and your family members and people who've lived before, you are an extension of them. But as far as you are concerned, your past is an extension of you, not the other way around. Your past is not creating you, you are creating your past. The moment we understand that present is the only reality, it is the only truth. But the present is so deep, it extends in another dimension on the inside. It has so much space that it can accommodate past and future right there in the now. And that is what we experience every moment. We experience the past, the future, and the present simultaneously. It is only when we have to talk about it, it is linear. It is only when we have to put it in paper or write it as a story, it acquires a direction. Oh, because in our three-dimensional world, we have to explain it through some movement. I mean, even the way we speak, when someone is speaking, they move their hands. There is no necessity at all. There is absolutely no necessity to spatially put things. But the body has no other way to make sense of things other than spatially. So all that is happening in the present, for example, I'm speaking now, one whole world of ideas, my body is visually mapping it using hands, which is stupid. It is not required. But when it thinks about the past, it goes visually somewhere. The eyes go there, the hands go there. Why? Because body is bound to the three-dimensional world, and the mind, which has this additional dimension, has no restriction of space. It can create past, present, and future right now, and that's what it does. The body holds on to it linearly, and that is where it gets stressed. The mind has all these things to do, has all these ideas, but the body is stuck. Hence, the stress. Oh, I cannot do all these things. I cannot accomplish all these things, because if I have to accomplish it, I have to do it through time. Mind does it without time. It is a very unfair game if you think about it. Imagine you are on one side as a body and your mind is on one side. Both have equal resources, equal capabilities, everything. With only one condition, I say body has to do things in time and mind has no restriction of time. How much ever time it wants, it can just imagine it. If it wants to accomplish a task and if it requires 10 minutes, it will just imagine the 10 minutes. And it can imagine that 10 minutes in a single moment. We don't even understand the capabilities of the mind. We don't even understand how deep existence goes. We tend to think everything is linear. It has taken billions of years for everything to happen. Existence does it like this. Creation happens like this because there is an additional dimension.